Hello, my name is Xavier Von Erck. This is the fourth supplemental video for a little retrospective I'm putting together of the years running pervertedjustice.com, which fellow olds might know as the website that created the show To Catch a Predator on Dateline NBC. If for some reason you watched the first three supplemental videos and are currently saying to yourself, holy hell, why is this fourth video so much longer? Well, recently had a very crucial database brought online that has so much more never-before-told details of all the work we did back in the day, including a ton of source material and communications. I somewhat regret having already made the first three supplemental videos now. Should have waited. If you want to skip all the details and backstories of these videos, just watch the old footage. Use the bookmarks in the description, which skip my intros and go straight to the start of each media story. That's why those bookmarks are there, the too long, didn't listen shortcuts. Today, we're strapping in and flying around the country, heading to Detroit for a very short and unfulfilling stop, then to Atlanta, Phoenix, and lastly, Minnesota. As an example of how absolutely packed our scheduling was back then, we did the first Milwaukee sting in late 2003, then Kansas City in December of 2003, Detroit in mid-January 2004. We looped back and did a second sting in Milwaukee on February 2nd, 2004. Then we did Atlanta on February 3rd, 2004, Portland on February 14th, 2004, a second sting in Detroit on February 20th, 2004, Phoenix sting in February 23rd of 2004, a sting in Philadelphia on March 1st, 2004, which all led to the first Dateline sting starting on March 8th in Bethpage, New York. That's tiring now just to say, let alone think about actually doing. An insane run of sending guys to houses to meet reporters, even with assigning a point person for each story. Just way too much in too short a time frame. And none of that includes all the associated media that came along at the same time, from random print articles to doing things like an interview of CBS National News. That's just the media work as well. It doesn't include all the other work that went along with the website in those days. WDIV Media Sting in Detroit, January 2004. This sting was our third ever full group media sting operation, following Milwaukee and Kansas City. Though it was the third, it aired the same nights as our Kansas City sting, due to that being sweeps week in both locales. The reporter on this is Kevin Dietz, who was a friend of Chris Hansen's. Dietz is the reporter who spoke with Hansen and told him about our work with him in Michigan, prompting Hansen to have Dateline NBC contact us. I had assigned Jay Alternative to be our main point of contact to work with Dietz, as Jay lived in Michigan, but we ended up having Frag coordinate with the WDIV producer on the story behind the scenes to organize everything. Unfortunately, unlike the Kansas City operation, I don't have full recordings of the Detroit sting. In the first media compilation piece, I posted a segment of the Detroit sting that a station in Philadelphia re-aired. Here, I just have the Detroit introduction piece. Debated not including it because there's not a lot to it, but I did very much enjoy the over-the-top shadowy chatlog voiceovers. I know what isn't boring. Ever had sex before? And the compilation at the end with all the guys running away is kind of fun.
Where are your parents?
My mom is at work and my dad's out of town.
When she leaves, can we hook up for sex?
It's graphic sex talk, and it's happening every single day, right here in Metro Detroit, between grown adults and your children.
How old are you?
13? How old are you?
I'm 32. I could go to jail if we got caught.
Adults setting up sex dates with your sons and daughters using the home computer. It's not happening on some dark, dirty, adult-only website. It's happening on the sites you and your family use every day, like America Online and Yahoo. It just takes a few clicks. Take a look. From the home page to a chat room to graphic sex talk, anyone can instant message in these public chat rooms, including your children.
What happens if your mom comes home?
She won't. She works until 10.
That's plenty of time to mess around.
Here, strangers are instant messaging children, and the conversation quickly turns from innocent school chat to explicit sex talk.
What are you studying in school?
Math and English, but it's really boring.
I know it isn't boring. Have you ever had sex before?
According to a child protection website, 1 in 5 children chat online. Half of those admit to engaging in sexual conversations, and 1 in 10 have met the person they were chatting with online. We used to worry about children on the playground. Today, the computer is the new playground for teenagers. Don't think it could happen to your child? Meet this man we'll call Randy. He's living proof of the growing problem. He asked us to conceal his identity because his daughter was sexually assaulted by a man she met online. He discovered what happened only by reading his daughter's diary.
He come over and they had sex, and that just blew my mind because I'd never expected anything like that.
Police say the man who came to his house and had sex with his daughter was 25-year-old Michael Garrison, a convicted pedophile.
I was dumbfounded. I was angry. I was hurt.
Hi, how you doing? Still don't think it can happen? Take a look at this. The defenders found 20 people in a span of just 40 hours who wanted to have sex with a child. They aren't just talkers. 14 grown men, some bringing alcohol with them, showed up at our front door, ready for sex with a 13 or 14-year-old kid. Now we got the picture, we got stuff, we got from a girl. Put away. This citizen vigilante website called Perverted Justice hunts predators and puts their pictures online. This man, who goes by the name of Jay, works in Southeast Michigan, pretending to be a teenager in chat rooms.
We are not going to tolerate these predators using an educational tool like the internet to seduce our children.
We agreed to work with Perverted Justice to expose this growing problem. Their team of chatters initiated conversations with local men looking for sex with children in Metro Detroit. The defenders set up cameras inside local homes and waited to see if adult men would really show up for sex with children.
A predator will look in Yahoo, they'll look at sites where young children might be, where they may be having chats about Harry Potter or some other kinds of things, and they jump into those discussions.
It didn't take long for adults to knock on our door. Hi. Hi. Was it for Rachel?
Yeah.
Yeah? I came to the wrong house. What are you coming here for?
Whoa, man, what the hell is all this?
What the hell is this? What are you doing coming for a minor? You know it's against the law? You could be going to jail, buddy.
The WDIV sting was challenging in more than a few areas. First, we had just landed a teacher in Michigan that had made all the news in the fall of 2003. The story of P-Bass 1957B, aka Brian Graves, a Michigan high school teacher that we exposed in September of 2003, made the local news and is the reason why WDIV hit us up to do a media sting there in January of 2004. It also made people in the local chat rooms from Michigan on Yahoo and AOL somewhat paranoid. Despite that, we landed 15 over 4 days. You might think to yourself, well, only 15. But you have to remember that we were a very young website at the time and didn't have the manpower we would have later on. This sting was also on very short notice. We worked out the final details on this sting on January 15th, 2004, getting the house details on that day. The house opened on January 19th, 2004. This gave us a mere 4 days advance to get out into the rooms. Still, landed 10 guys from January 19th to the 21st. Then we came back on January 28th and had one more day of the house being open, which landed another 5 guys. Here is a screenshot of our calendar from the sting, including what dates and times people showed up at. If you notice, the ages in this sting were incredibly young. The oldest guy we pulled was in his early 30s. This is in stark contrast to the previous sting in Kansas City, where we pulled a decent number of older folks. Despite the Detroit operation being what I view as a successful sting 21 years later, here's a screenshot of me being a complete asshole about the results for no good reason. 15 is a great result on 4 days' notice, dickhead younger than me. God, what an asshole that guy was sometimes. We achieved our second ever conviction from this sting operation. that of 23-year-old Raymond Dooley, aka Autonomous 2000, on the website. He is actually the last guy shown in the quick compilation on the video, the one that says, "What the hell is this?" and then flies out of the driveway in his car. Well, you see, Mr. Raymond Dooley was a Raymond dummy. After he was filmed at the house, he ran home and told his mommy and daddy about what happened. And his mommy was so upset that she gave Raymond some real great advice. Yeah, she told him to go to the police and file a complaint about the big, bad, mean TV station filming him arriving at the house. You heard that right. His dear old mama told him to go get some police help. The police were indeed glad to help him. This was our second conviction, but our first ever actual trial. Our contributor on the case went there and testified, held up under cross-examination, and the jury took a mere 3 hours to convict. Dooley ended up sentenced to a year in jail, 5 years probation, and RSO status. And all because his mommy told him to go and tell the police about us picking on her poor baby boy. Moms, man, they're fucking delusional sometimes. Dietz was kind of delusional and wanted to run back another sting just a month later in February 2004, the same month that the first sting aired, which I did not approve as a site-wide effort. However, I did let Jay and a few others decide if they wanted to try and send a few people as a smaller effort. Ended up getting 1, as the chat rooms themselves were beyond paranoid about anything underage, given that we'd literally just worked the rooms in January 2004, and the sting aired in early February 2004. Amusingly, as a bit of trivia, the one guy that showed up was Del Harvey's first ever predator to arrive at a sting house. It was a mere 3 days after I had brought her up to do chat logs. She was quite excited, to say the least. Hey, we all had a good time back in those early days. Shut up, nerds. Video number 2. WGCL in Atlanta, February 3rd, 2004. During the early run of media pieces from fall 2003 to spring 2004, there were 2 types of group media stings. There were the ones I approved and roused everyone to work as a group effort. So the first Milwaukee WTMJ sting, the KCTV sting in Kansas City, and the first WDIV sting in Detroit. However, we were getting so many requests at the time that I would often allow people to take the lead on little one-day mini stings. For those who saw my first supplemental compilation, the Tyler Bacombe story in Atlanta was a personal all-time favorite, with the wife of the predator letting Bacombe go into the house. Because WGCL wouldn't agree to unblur the predator faces and name them, we declined to do a full-scale sting with them in Atlanta. So when Bacombe wanted us to work with him on a sting, I had Frag take the lead and do a small-scale, one-day house mini-media sting on February 3rd, 2004. House was only open for 5 hours, and we only had a couple people working on it, but still managed to have 4 guys show up in just a 5-hour span. Pretty sure this was Frag's first TV interview with the website. Kind of odd to see him in shadow, given what would come later. His effort here in Atlanta and his overall intelligence and reliability really sold me as a person to rely on going forward. Anyways, 2-part piece across 2 nights.
The University of Georgia has now fired a lab technician police say tried to lure children for sex over the internet. This comes just hours after police filed new charges against Ashit Shah and arrested him for the second time in a week. Tiffany Reynolds has this CBS 46 update from Athens.
On doors throughout UGA's family and graduate housing, residents found flyers briefing them on the arrest of a neighbor, 31-year-old UGA lab tech Ashit Shah.
Was arrested on charges relating to use of the internet to entice children into illegal activities.
Ashvini Shiroker lived 2 doors down from Shah and his wife, who yesterday were ordered to move out of campus housing. University police first arrested Shah last Friday for allegedly violating the Computer Pornography and Child Exploitation Act. CBS 46 News obtained these exclusive images of a revealing internet chat allegedly between Ashit Shah and a man in California pretending to be a 14-year-old girl. The fake teen is actually a volunteer for Perverted Justice, a cyber police type of group which monitors those attempting to prey on children. Shaw's first arrest came as a result of a similar chat with a Perverted Justice volunteer. Yesterday, UGA police rearrested the lab tech on 3 additional charges, including sexual exploitation of a child. That arrest, investigators say, resulted from information found on Shaw's computer.
I'm shocked.
Also shocked, UGA student Hunter Weber. He, his wife, and child live in this same family housing area. Weber says Shaw could have come in contact with a lot of kids here.
If someone like that is anywhere near where my family is, I'm obviously going to be concerned for the safety of my son.
Tiffany Reynolds, CBS 46, Atlanta's News Channel.
Why'd you come here? It's real. It's disturbing. It's perverted. It's the undercover investigation that hasn't been done until now. Tonight, a dark secret is revealed.
Do you like to have sex with 14-year-old girls?
It's the exclusive CBS 46 investigation that Atlantans are talking about tonight. CBS 46 is the only Atlanta station to show you how far online perverts will go to have sex with children, even get inside your home. Earlier in this newscast, we told you about Ashit Shah, the UGA lab tech, accused of trying to lure a 14-year-old girl over the internet to have sex with him. Shah is one of many men CBS 46 captured on camera during our 5-month investigation trying to have sex with teenagers. Tyler Beckham joins us now live with our exclusive investigation. Tyler.
Yeah, Stephanie, CBS 46 conducted the investigation to show you just how easily and how quickly an online pedophile can find, chat with, and lure a child for sex using the computer. You've heard the disturbing stories. Now take a look at what our exclusive investigation uncovered.
Do you like having sex with 14-year-old girls?
They could be your next-door neighbors.
Do you like 14-year-old girls like that? Average guys. You told Cindy you wanted her to shower and shave before you got here.
With tastes that are anything but.
You wanted Cindy, the 13-year-old, waiting for you naked when you walked in?
And with plenty of excuses, as you'll find in a minute.
Sam, who are you looking for?
I'm not really sure.
You came for Dee Dee, didn't you?
No. And in a few hours, we managed to find a handful of Atlanta area men looking to have sex with 13 or 14-year-old girls. So how'd we do it? Through the website pervertedjustice.com, a controversial vigilante cyber patrol made up entirely of volunteers posing in online chat rooms as underage girls and boys, just waiting for men like Ricky.
Do you wish you hadn't done all this now?
We first met him at his Hateville home last November, a week after he asked a 14-year-old he thought he was chatting with to have her tubes tied so she would be his girlfriend. His wife didn't like that at all.
You got mother.
But Ricky wasn't talking to a 14-year-old girl in Atlanta. At the other end of the keyboard was a 38-year-old Los Angeles area man.
It's just really disgusting. I mean, when you really think about the fact that they really think they're talking to a child.
One of a number of Perverted Justice volunteers. CBS 46 is the only Atlanta station to sit alongside a member of this cyber patrol as he helps us demonstrate just how quickly and easily an online pedophile could track down and meet a teenager in Atlanta.
For the cities that I've worked, Atlanta is one of the worst. Quickest I've ever gotten one out of Atlanta to come probably within 20 minutes, half hour. They have been online, said they wanted to meet, picking up beer and condoms, and they're over at the house or the Roswell police station or wherever I choose to send them.
And today he chose to send them to us. He began in Los Angeles at 6 a.m. on a Monday morning, posing as 14-year-old Atlanta resident Cindy, while another Perverted Justice volunteer becomes 13-year-old Dee Dee. Meanwhile, in Atlanta, at noon, we were busy preparing a rented house Cindy, or 13-year-old Dee Dee, would tell the men they lived in. We covered the front window and waited. By 2:15 that same day, Gerald arrived from Alpharetta.
You here to see Cindy?
No.
Thinking he's going to meet Cindy.
Why'd you come over here?
Oh, God.
Do you like 14-year-old girls like that? You told Cindy you wanted her to shower and shave before you got here. So do you like to have sex with 14-year-old girls?
Then at 4, Rick showed up, quick to deny he was there to meet 14-year-old Cindy.
Hey, Rick, you're here to see Cindy, huh?
No.
Who are you here for? You're here to have sex with a 14-year-old girl named Cindy. Well, no, why'd you come here? You wanted to come what? Do you like 14-year-old girls?
Before leaving, Rick then stopped to open his car door again and explain this misunderstanding.
Do you like having sex with 14-year-old girls?
I have sex with 14-year-old girls.
Well, who are you here to meet then?
I just wanted to come and tell her I didn't want to do this.
Why'd you talk about it so explicitly online then?
Sam showed up at 4:30 and was a bit more aggressive online, asking who he thought was a 13-year-old to wait for him on the couch naked, saying he just wanted to walk in on her. We left the door unlocked, and sure enough,
hey, you're looking for Cindy, aren't you?
Sam walked right in, but he couldn't recall why he was here.
Sam, who are you looking for?
I'm not really sure.
You wanted Cindy, the 13-year-old, waiting for you naked when you walked in?
No, not me. Sorry.
Why did you stop by here?
I was actually coming to a different house.
Yeah, you're the guy that's trying to have sex with a 13-year-old girl named Cindy. You wanted her to be naked when you showed up. You like having sex with 13-year-olds?
He then peeled out, even hitting a fence with his truck before speeding off. Finally, that night at 7:30, 23-year-old Rich came all the way from Athens to meet 13-year-old Dee Dee.
We'll walk with you because you parked down the street. You came here to have sex with a 13-year-old girl.
I didn't.
You came all the way from Athens?
Nope.
Where'd you come from?
Nowhere.
What are you here for then? The house is empty. Nobody lives there.
Nobody lives there, huh?
4 men in 5 hours with one objective.
You like having sex with 13-year-olds?
One dangerous and illegal.
Do you like 14-year-old girls like that?
But as we found, easier to accomplish than you might think.
Since we wanted to use this as a warning to parents, we asked a few parents to watch our investigation tomorrow night at 11 after CSI Miami. We're going to get their thoughts and tell you the steps they're going to go through to ensure their children don't become victims, Stephanie.
Tyler, what about the possibility of some legal action against the men that we saw in your story? Could they face any criminal charges?
That's a good question. You know, the thing is, we blurred their faces. We didn't identify them because the men haven't been officially charged yet. That could change, though. Perverted Justice does work with law enforcement agencies cross-country, and I can tell you, in this case, because they alerted police are investigating the 5 men and exploring the possibility of charges. Live in the newsroom, Tyler Beckham, CBS 46, Atlanta's News Channel.
The individual shown on the first news story was Ashit Shah, a 31-year-old Indian immigrant employed by the University of Georgia, Athens as a lab technician in their Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. He got naked on webcam in his on-campus housing quite a bit. He was arrested on February 4th due to frags work, then was re-arrested again on February 11th when it was alleged that he had molested an actual underage female he had met online. We believe that he ended up deported by ICE, but were never able to confirm the eventual outcome. There were a few guys like this arrested back in the day where we were just too damn busy to keep close tabs on them after arrest. The next individual is referred to as Gerald on the news story. On our site, he was known by the YIM name Mr. Wonderful 37. We didn't have a picture of Gerald because, again, the Atlanta stations wouldn't allow guys to be broadcast without blur. Still, we had his phone number, identified him as a college student, contacted his family about what he did, and lo and behold, a poster showed up to make this post. Needless to say, despite the blurring and his lack of sending us a photograph, still wrecked his life pretty good regardless. The next guy featured was referred to as Rick. On our site, this was Rick Jeep 93. Yeah, I know, what a great username. My name is Rick, and I have a Jeep. Very creative. We did figure out what apartment complex he lived at, but never got a 100% confirmed last name on him. Site readers were able to bombard his phone and get him on the phone, as the screenshot shows. After that on the video was a guy they only referred to as Sam. On our site, he was Amit Johnson 2000. Name was Amit Samuel Johnson. Unfortunately, there was way too many Amit Johnson and Samuel Johnsons for us to narrow him down completely. A website reader provided us with another chat log this guy had under a different name that yielded some details we thought were accurate. His work was contacted, but no firm resolution on how much an impact this had on him. Again, a good example of why I was so strident with media at the time regarding making sure the faces were unblurred. Lastly, there was the guy they referred to as Rich. His username was JK119485 on the website. He also did not send us a photograph during the chat, and the blurring didn't help in that department either. Still, despite that, we were able to figure out his full name during follow-up, confirmed that he was fired from his job, and had contact with his father. We would have loved to have done more work with Tyler Bacombe, but his Atlanta station was just too much of a tight ass in terms of not showing faces and naming names. Still, that wasn't his fault. He was one of our favorite reporters from this era, just a great guy in general. Currently works as a news reporter in Columbus, Ohio. On his LinkedIn, he notes, one of 3 nationwide Meredith reporters to first cover PervertedJustice.com, later known as Dateline NBC's To Catch a Predator. Yup, you were. Video number 3, KPHO in Phoenix, Arizona, February 21st, 2004. I warn you now, this intro will be long. It is 27 paragraphs of my going on and on. If you have no patience or interest for a long fucking story, use the chapter links in the description to jump ahead to the media story. That's what they're there for. There, you've been warned, so if you don't jump ahead, it's your fault, not mine. During this era, media was hitting us up constantly. They would email all of my people and try to end around me. Now, 95% of my people were wise and smart and knew that we needed to be organized. So they would bring contact to me. I'd assign it out or reject it. Order, not chaos. In the intro to this video, I talk about how insane our schedule was between December 2003 and March 2004. However, it kind of worked because each media sting would have a person assigned to it by me. Generally, a sting had a point of contact of someone who lived nearby that I would put in charge of being the point of contact for the reporter and the middleman between the reporter and the rest of our contributors. Order, not chaos. We had nobody local in Phoenix. Closest person was Frag, who I had already assigned to a couple other things. My man was busy, but we'll get more into that when I cover the first Dateline NBC episode. Needless to say, I would have punted this sting offer had there not been fuckery. You see, all these local TV stations are not owned by their national affiliate. A local NBC station isn't owned by NBC Universal, but rather a media conglomerate. These conglomerates can own TV affiliates across the country, and they'll own affiliates associated with any of the big 4 national networks. One of those conglomerates was the Meredith Corporation. They owned affiliates across the country, spanning around 11% of the country, if I recall correctly. Now, I was agnostic when it came to working with local TV stations. What mattered to me was the reporter and the rules that the station had when it came to what they would show. TMJ4 in Milwaukee was owned by the EW Scripps Company. KPTV in Portland was owned by Gray Media. WDIV in Detroit was owned by the Graham Media Group. And KCTV in Kansas City was owned by Meredith Corporation. I knew the best way to avoid getting fucking murdered by the news industry was to, for as long as I could, spread around the work that we did. This means in one market we'd work with one conglomerate, another market a different one, etc. If you're in bed with everyone at some point, they're less likely to turn on you. A taste here, a taste there. If we have a good working relationship with reporters that are under different conglomerate umbrellas, we can avoid getting shit on as much as possible by an entity viewing us as loyal to one of the other media conglomerates. Be nice to us, and we'll bring you a sting somewhere else, basically. That's a lot of words to say simply that we were sluts that banged everybody at the time. Now, of course, these conglomerates would want us to stop being so coquettish, and get in bed with them as a permanent partner. They would email and ask, and I would dole out a sting here or there, but not commit fully to any one of these conglomerates. They would even offer up whisperings of being flown around, treated like a news quasi-celebrity, and some even dropped hints of cash if I'd just bring our little pervert-exposing circus to their town. Their siren call designed to play towards my ego and abject poverty to try to get me to do what they wanted. However, co-founder Frank Fincepost did not understand this issue. Frank and I started the site together in mid-2002. He sent me chats, I marked them up, formatted them, and posted them on my personal website. Then people would see the chats in the Portland, Oregon rooms and want to help out. I took on the role of bringing more people on, formatting their chats, and slowly started expanding the website. Frank was more a lone wolf, a bit of a wild card. When the media stings started blowing up, everyone routed requests through me other than Frank. And Frank, on his part, didn't work the stings that I had set up and approved for the entire volunteer force to work. Quite a few of us took notice of that, and quite a few already resented his lack of teamwork in that regard. As seen in Supplemental Video 3, we had worked with Steve Chamraz on a proper all-hands-on-deck sting operation in Kansas City with KCTV, a Meredith Corporation station. Frank did not contribute to that effort, so after the Kansas City sting gets a ton of publicity, it is shared around all the Meredith stations, and they all want to do sting operations now. Producers at various Meredith stations, frustrated that I wouldn't commit the website to doing stings only with them at their properties across the country, did an end around and tried to contact people other than me to set up a special working relationship. Frank decided that he liked the idea of Meredith flying him around the country as their special boy, and decided to agree to do a series of stings at Meredith properties across the country. The first was this Phoenix media sting. Then he was going to fly to Hartford, Connecticut and do another, and continue to go around the country working as an exclusive guy to Meredith. Now, as co-founders, some people thought we were equal in terms of responsibility, but we weren't at all. I paid for everything. Frank wasn't on hook for a dime. I brought on the volunteers, trained them, set up the website infrastructure with my roommate, administered most everything, dealt with all the emails, the trolls, and the people trying to harass us. My ass was the one on the line should shit go real wrong. If there's a lawsuit about something posted, something decided, the buck stopped with me, not Frank. Frank was really only responsible for Frank. At this point, you probably think I'm a controlling asshole, and Frank was the cool rebel. That he was Trotsky and I was Stalin. And you know what? You would be right. In fact, a few of our volunteers saw it that way. Frank was cool, and I was the mean taskmaster. Vast majority, however, saw me as order and Frank as chaos. If handled wrong, this would have been the beginnings of a serious schism. Frank hits me up telling me that he's going to do this Phoenix sting and that they're flying him out rather than using someone local. Then he tells me that he's going to then fly to Hartford, Connecticut afterward and do another one there on their dime. I try to talk him out of it, noting that this has all sorts of potential pitfalls, and if we were to do an exclusivity deal, we would need proper and extreme compensation to know our worth. Needless to say, he and I did not see eye to eye. Now, all of that said, did not escalate this into a war. Didn't try to put my foot down. When he ignored my concerns and continued to set this thing up, I told everyone that just like a couple other smaller stings, anyone could work it if they so chose, but that I wasn't going to crack the whip and turn out large volunteer numbers for it. That it was akin to the Atlanta sting I had put Frag on, a smaller operation in Phoenix that would be helmed by Frank. Compromise. He gets his stings and people can work them if they chose. But I'm not on the hook for being responsible for them, and gives an out to those who contributed chats that also hated Frank to not feel that they had to work with him. For my part, if Frank wants to step up and shoulder some of the immediate responsibility, My thought at the time is great. If he does a great job, we'll just have more opportunities to really go out there and fuck up internet predators and chat rooms in general. After the Kansas City sting, the free weekly newspaper called The Pitch there decides to attack KCTV and ourselves with a couple really asinine articles. They try to allege that I'm a Nazi. They do these fawning interviews with guys that had shown up to the sting house. They act like we're going to get sued into oblivion. Real delusional stuff. The problem for Frank would be that because he had now decided to work with Meredith as a larger entity, it meant more avenues for leaks. And someone in Meredith leaked to the Pitch reporter that there would be a sting in Phoenix for the Meredith station there. And on February 19th, the reporter at Pitch posts this. At this point, Frank hasn't gotten on the plane to Phoenix. I see the Pitch article and contact him, noting that the sting is now known, and I ask him to reschedule the sting, since someone in Meredith leaked that we were doing it. That by continuing with the sting, he's putting us at risk, since the psychotics online that hate what we do are going to be looking for our profiles in the Phoenix and Arizona Yahoo rooms. Frank blows me off. Frank advertises to the contributors that he'll be in Phoenix and that there's a house. People clamor to work Phoenix as it's a fresh city to work. Frank never tells anyone that the sting itself leaked ahead of time. Nearly immediately, wackadoos online that hate us flood the Phoenix and Arizona rooms to try to troll contributors with bad information or just outright waste their time. Contributors start posting snippets of blogs with people calling them out, and then they're rightfully freaked out about it, believing that there's a mole in the organization. Frank again does not let them know why. At that point, I have to step in and let them know what's up, as paranoia starts to set in on them that there's a mole, rather than the sting being compromised by the Pitch article. At this point, all hell breaks loose, as people are livid that Frank did not tell them ahead of time about the sting being compromised online. Some correctly point out that a competing media entity showing up to the house would absolutely injure our reputation, and in general be super embarrassing. In response to all this criticism, Frank makes a super caustic reply where he shits all over people's concerns and tries to attack me over the situation. Almost every contributor we have at this point is livid with him, Frag especially. This post finishes Frank off and is to the point where I know I can safely establish pure order and eliminate all chaos, exiling Trotsky to Mexico and becoming Stalin. From this point forward, nobody will ever accept a media invite to do a sting on their own again. Everything becomes far more hyper-organized, and we would march forward as a single unit. I tell Frank on the phone that he's suspended, and I inform the Meredith producers that any contact in the future will only go through me. So, all of that drama out of the way, what eventually aired was a fine piece. The reporter, Morgan Loeb, did a great job confronting the shitbirds. The station didn't blur the faces, and they named names. Got 10 guys over 2 days, despite the massive amount of counter-trolling our people had to fight through. Had that not been an issue, and this thing was put together well, we would have had likely double the amount showing up, I believe.
The internet is a tool for education, research, and entertainment.
But it also can pose a danger to your children. The problem, men surfing the net looking for children for sex. A 5i-team investigation now sheds new light on this problem in a way we think you'll agree has never been done before here in the Valley. Morgan Lowe has the story you'll see only on CBS 5 News.
John, over the course of 2 days, we surfed internet chat rooms and watched as a computer expert pose as an underage girl. These are the same chat rooms your children probably use to communicate with friends. But while we were online, we were contacted at any given time by as many as 20 different men asking us about sex. 10 of those men took it one step further. It's 11 o'clock on a Sunday night, and a 39-year-old man arrives at a Phoenix home planning to have sex with a 14-year-old girl. He brought booze. He thinks she's home alone, and he's not the only one.
Not a pedophile.
Over the course of just 2 days, 10 men came to this home hoping for sex with young girls. But that's not what they found.
Where you going, buddy? Who are you here to see? I don't know.
When they showed up,
13-year-old girl you want to have sex with you.
they had the surprise of their lives.
What the hell is this?
Over
That wasn't me.
and over
Why don't you just explain why you're here?
and over again.
I'm mad at myself.
CBS 5 rented a house in central Phoenix. We wired it with high-speed internet and hidden cameras to show you what could happen in your home with a child and the internet. We got some help from this man.
It never fails to surprise me how easy it is to get these guys to show up.
He calls himself Frank Fencepost, and he's the co-founder of a website named pervertedjustice.com. He and his group target internet sex predators.
In the last year and a half, pervertedjustice.com has caught nearly 600 men online trolling for underage females to have sexual encounters with.
Frank assumes the online identity of a teenage or preteen girl and patrols internet chat rooms popular with young people. But he's looking for men interested in children, men like the one in the beginning of our story. Online, his name is MXDoc2001, and he posted a picture of himself on the web. He starts in on a chat with someone he thinks is a 14-year-old girl. Much of the transcript is too sexually explicit for a TV audience, but this gives you an idea. He asks, what kind of guys do you like? Are you on the pill? Are you the police or related agency? Less than a half hour later, he's walking up our driveway.
It's a little late for a house call, isn't it? You want to talk to us about the online chat you were having?
Nope, I don't.
You want to say anything about possibly coming to visit a 14-year-old girl?
In every case, the lure is a young girl who's home alone and could be drawn into a sexual conversation. This man thinks he's chatting with a 15-year-old. After 10 minutes, he asks, do you fool around? The girl responds, I have fooled around. He writes, cool. So you want to hook up now then? I will need to stop and pick up condoms. A perverted justice volunteer follows up with a quick phone call.
What are you going to drive so that I know that it's you?
30 minutes later, he's walking up the driveway of our central Phoenix home and into the spotlight.
Who were you talking to online?
I asked her if the police were involved.
Were you coming over here to have sex with her? Is that what you were doing?
She was 15.
But that isn't exactly true, because 30 minutes earlier,
So you know that I'm 15, right?
She told you she was 15.
I didn't remember that part.
he's not the only one with a memory problem. The man who pulls up in this pickup truck also forgets some key details about the reason he came to our house.
Who are you looking for?
My friend Mike.
Is that who you're talking to online?
I haven't been online.
Yeah.
Less than a half hour earlier, he was typing, I'm old enough to be your dad. A few minutes later, so when do you want to get together? We ask him, can you bring some beer? And his online picture confirms he's the man who arrived at the house.
I have never had a conversation with anybody. I don't know what you're talking about or what's going on here.
We'll show you the transcript if you'd like to see it.
He gets into his truck with the six-pack he said he'd bring and peels out down the driveway. But not everyone runs away. In fact, some stick around and
What are you
talk.
looking for?
I'm looking for a friend of mine.
Yeah, who's your friend? You looking for a 12-year-old girl that you've been chatting with online?
No.
No? Well, let me read you some transcripts here.
The man posted his picture online. During the chat, he asked, what is your bra size? Are you a virgin? What time will your mom be home?
What were you coming here to do?
She wanted to hang out. I wasn't going to do anything.
But you asked her if she was a virgin.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was, in
Casual
chat.
conversation?
Yeah, I swear to God.
With a 12-year-old girl. Do you think that's acceptable?
No, it's not.
Experts say the kinds of things we witnessed, adult men writing sexually explicit dialogue to children, showing inappropriate pictures of themselves, and showing up at the home of a child, are things that happen all over the country every day. According to pedowatch.com, 70% of sex offenders use the internet, and 1 in 5 children online gets propositioned for sex every year. Police say parents need to be aware of this very real danger.
I don't believe many parents do understand the scope of the problem.
The Phoenix Police Department and other local police agencies have arrested dozens of men in similar sting operations. Recently, they arrested a doctor, a Salvation Army youth leader, and this Army National Guardsman was arrested 4 years ago. We mention him because He was one of the men who showed up at our Phoenix home during this sting operation. He thought he was meeting a 13-year-old girl. Some of these men apologized for their actions after they saw our cameras, but others maintain they did nothing wrong.
What are you coming here to meet a 13-year-old girl for?
I was coming to meet her, a blind date.
After this man left, he logged back online and wrote, "I certainly hope you get some more men, some real criminals, and you will be wise enough not to put some upper-classy college boy on TV who wanted to make a friend." Their explanations may have been different, but they all have one thing in common: they got caught.
They came to this door of this house believing that they were predators, and they got a little bit of a surprise.
Over the past week, several of the men you saw have contacted us wanting to tell their side. Here's what they had to say. This man says, "It was not me online. My girlfriend was chatting online and arranged the meeting. I was unaware of the girl's age." This man emailed, "I was shocked and embarrassed to discover that Annie was in fact a 13-year-old and that this was a setup operation. It was not my intention to meet young girls or have any interactions whatsoever with girls under the age of 18. And finally, this man says, "I am very sorry. I honestly didn't realize the girl was 15. I wasn't paying attention on the phone, more to driving." Now, coming up tomorrow night at 10, we're going to tell you the story of one of these men. Turns out he was in a similar situation 4 years ago to the day that we caught him. And if you're wondering how you can protect your children, log on to KPHO.com. We've posted links to websites that are loaded with great internet safety information. For the 5i team, I'm Morgan Lowe, CBS 5 News.
That was a real crop of assholes. If it weren't for the drama and issues behind the scenes, we would have remembered this thing very fondly, given the fact that the guys we had arrived were just so fucking loathsome in general. The first guy they featured, MX Doc 2001, was a pretty serious medical researcher and at the time worked for the Kronos Longevity Research Institute in Phoenix, Arizona. He had published quite a few papers on PubMed as it related to aging and aging-related disorders. Follow-up chased him around for a couple years. One of the rare people that threatened a lawsuit, having his lawyer send the threat 2.5 years later, demanding that his chat log be taken down. However, all non-convicted chat logs had already been taken down a couple months before the email after we had notched our 100th conviction. Kind of reminds me of Maurice Woolen in a lot of ways in terms of education level. Honestly had forgotten about this guy. Thought old Marco was our only decently high-level medical researcher to arrive at a sting house. I feel less special now as a person who did decoy work. Aww. Brian Fisher, 55, was a guy that we just didn't do that much follow-up on. Kinda skated by due to some of the others that showed up. A similar story for any normal girls out there. Pretty sure his university was contacted, but beyond that, not a lot of details on the post-sting follow-up. Gangadid and his new Beginning 2000 were both Frank Finchpost chat logs, and they were removed in the later purge of Finchpost in May of 2004. I have no surviving record of their chat logs or their follow-up. The individual who was the focus of the entire second night of the report that I do not have a video of was listed on our site as NTL134. Obviously, we knew his name, address, and past criminal details. Del Harvey did the chat with NTL134 and decided to hold off posting it for a week to try to shop it around to law enforcement in the area, to no avail. Follow-up efforts continued on this guy, on and off, for over 2 years, with people watching his business efforts and future criminal cases. Businesses he would try to start would have anyone associated with him contacted up until we removed all non-convicted chat logs once we notched our 100th conviction in late 2006. NTL134 was charged in 2000 to detaining up a Phoenix area detective who was posing as a 13-year-old. He claimed that he didn't believe the decoy was underage, and the jury hung and let him off. This fella was a clean-cut military guy. Sound familiar? Yeah. Same as Joseph Roisman and William Havey, two ex-military guys that escaped conviction during our TCAP stings. Clean-cut military guys are hard to convict, whether it was us or actual detectives. EP in Minnesota, April 2004. Lastly, we're taking a trip up to Minnesota to visit with Kristen Stinner and KSTP. Beef, at the time, wrote up his experience working with Stinner and her producer. What was to be just a simple news story turned into Stinner and her producer going all over Minnesota to expose and confront the guys she watched Beef and Red Baroness do the chat logs and phone recordings of.
News at 10.
Wants to know what I like in bed.
Their words and actions may make your skin crawl. Tonight, 5 Eyewitness News uncovers adult men as they try to meet underage Minnesota girls.
Why did you ask her about her breast size?
Just curious.
We found the men in a place your own child may visit.
Tonight, after a month-long investigation, Kristen Steiner joins us to reveal how they operate and what some people are doing to expose them. Kristen?
Well, this guy doesn't know we're watching him at the Mall of America, and this one has no clue our cameras are keeping an eye on him in Malacca. But both are about to face the court of public opinion, met first by a self-appointed judge and jury called pervertedjustice.com. We need to tell you what you're about to see is graphic.
Here's one.
Beef the Troll works as kind of a cyber vigilante.
Here's another one.
He enters a Yahoo chat room posing as a 13-year-old girl named Lizzie.
We'll see if he bites.
Almost immediately, a guy named Jeremy takes the bait.
Can I just say you are cute and sexy?
Jeremy also asks if Lizzie likes older men, and is 28 okay for her to date. He asks her to meet and gives her his phone number. That's where Red comes in.
Is this Jeremy?
Jeremy agrees the 13-year-old will use her babysitting money to get on a bus to meet him at a Cub Foods in St. Cloud.
I gotta know, like, what you're gonna wear.
He tells her he'll be wearing an Indiana Jones-style hat. Then he turns the conversation, asking how big her breasts are, and telling her size doesn't matter if she knows how to use them. Red says Jeremy's call is typical.
They're on the phone with a 13-year-old child. What are they doing there?
This night, it's like a feeding frenzy with nearly 24 men wanting to chat with Lizzie about sex.
Wants to know what I like in bed.
Here's another one who wasted no time.
Asks me if I'm into thongs.
Tommy, who's 22, asks Lizzie to model thong underwear and gives her his phone number. They agree to meet the next day at the Mall of America. But Beef and Red don't actually meet the guys. They also don't call the cops. They work for a group called pervertedjustice.com. Once they have a meeting set, Perverted Justice exposes the men, posting their pictures and chat logs on the website. But this time they agreed to wait to give us and possibly authorities time to track Tommy and Jeremy down. We didn't have to look hard to find Tommy. He showed up at the mall right on time for his date with Lizzie, wearing khakis and a polo like he said. He waits, then wanders for an hour, apparently looking for Lizzie. Our hidden cameras followed as he drove to Coon Rapids, which is where he told Lizzie he lived. We gave authorities time to investigate before we confronted Tommy. Tommy Sison?
Yeah?
Tommy Sison told us he wanted to meet the 13-year-old, but says he did not plan to have sex with her. He said he has a fiancé.
I wasn't trying to solicit anyone. Thank you. I'm done.
You asked her about
I'm done.
thongs.
Thank you.
You
I'm
asked
done.
her
Thank you.
if she would
Get out of here or I will call the cops.
And what about Jeremy? He didn't show up to meet the 13-year-old. His chat indicated he was using a library computer. His profile said he was Jeremy Dunn of Malacca, so we found an address and found him wearing that Indiana Jones hat he'd told Lizzie about.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Again, we gave authorities time to check him out before we knocked on his door.
Why did you plan to meet a 13-year-old girl?
Just to meet new people, I guess.
Did you plan to have sex with her?
No.
Why did you ask her about her breast size?
Just curious.
She's 13. Do you feel like you did anything wrong? The Minnesota Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force says Jeremy Dunn's case is still under investigation. But police investigated and found Tommy Sison's actions did not cross the line into criminal behavior. Syson's attorney says his client made an error in judgment, but did not solicit a girl for sex. Perverted Justice doesn't care whether authorities take action. They've already sentenced both men to public shame, plastering their photos and chat logs on the web for the whole world to see.
And to give you an idea just how big a problem this is, Perverted Justice has posted 700 guys like them on the website in less than 2 years. Syson's lawyer says that's enough. He plans to try to get a restraining order to stop the group.
Now, what do police think about Perverted Justice?
Well, many investigators that I've talked with say the group's shame tactics sort of hinder prosecution, especially if the suspect tries to destroy evidence or flee town. And coming up, I'll introduce you to a Minnesota man who was exposed and did just that. He fled, but we found him. His disturbing interview is coming up later in this newscast. Kristen Steiner, 5 Eyewitness News.
A 5 Eyewitness News investigation exposes a Minnesota man.
He is charged with trying to pick up a young girl while he was at work, and you won't believe where he works.
We do want to warn you what we found is graphic.
Investigative reporter Kristen Steiner is here with the disturbing details that sparked a federal and a state investigation. Kristen?
To get a job at the Air Traffic Control Center, you have to meet all kinds of requirements, including a very strict background check. Those who work there are responsible for the safety of thousands at any given moment. But one employee apparently used his breaks to conduct a sex chat with what he thought was a 13-year-old girl.
So, are you a virgin? What's the oldest guy you've nailed? How kinky are you? Those are among the tamest questions a Minnesota man asked what he thought was a 13-year-old girl. Sean told the girl he was an air traffic controller and was at work.
He's an air traffic controller. He's cruising for tail while he's at work.
Beef and his wife Red are members of PervertedJustice.com, a cyber vigilante group of sorts working to expose sexual predators in chat rooms. Beef is the one posing as Sean's new 13-year-old friend Lizzie.
Bottom line, we feel truly, deep down, that we're taking bullets that are meant for kids. These guys absolutely can and do want to victimize children.
When asked if he only wanted cyber sex, Sean tells Lizzie, no, I want to expletive your brains out for real. He goes on to ask her if she's on the pill and says, hope I don't hurt you. When Lizzie asked to see a picture, Sean sent her this one, a family photo at Christmas. There he is, smiling next to his wife and child, whose faces we've chosen to conceal. He tells the 13-year-old he wants to have sex with her the next time his wife's out of town. No games, just sex. From there, the chat gets too X-rated to show you. Sean gives the girl his cell phone number to call on his way home from work.
Sean?
Red, posing as Lizzie, talks to him, asking about his job.
So you work for the government?
We needed to know if Sean was telling the truth, so we used his own words to track him down. Turns out he is 26-year-old Sean Barnett of Northfield. We found he told the truth when he said he played hockey on Tuesday nights. He told the truth when he told Lizzie he drove a Suzuki Grand Vitara. He told the truth when he said he worked as an air traffic controller in Farmington. And investigators wanted to know if Barnett was telling the truth when he said he wanted to have sex with the 13-year-old girl.
Obviously, it's an investigation we need to initiate.
State and federal investigators took a look at what we'd witnessed. Then police executed search warrants on the Air Traffic Control Center, along with Barnett's laptop computer, his home, and his vehicle. They questioned Barnett, who admitted to the sex chat with Lizzie. According to the complaint, he said he knew what he'd done was wrong, but did not know it was illegal.
Now, this is predatory behavior. There's no question about it.
Dakota County Attorney Jim Backstrom charged Barnett with soliciting a child for sex. According to the complaint, Barnett denied planning to meet Lizzie. But our investigation found Barnett tried repeatedly to reach Lizzie for a week after the initial chat. One message says, wife making plans to go out of town. We confronted Barnett as he was leaving the jail and found the man who talked dirty for more than an hour with what he thought was a 13-year-old was suddenly at a loss for words.
Do you feel the charge is fair?
I have no comment.
Why did you try to solicit a 13-year-old girl for sex? How do you explain your actions?
I have no comment.
You have nothing to say about your actions?
No.
In his statement to police, Barnett says he was on break and using his own laptop computer. The chat log indicates out of an hour and 17 minutes, he spent all but 18 of it chatting with Lizzie. The FAA says it's possible Barnett was on break at the time. They are investigating, and Barnett is currently on paid leave. Kristen Steiner, 5 Eyewitness News.
Well, this story has many parents asking what they can do to protect their kids from predators on the internet. The experts say it is best to put the computer in a public place in your home. Also, be sure to monitor all of your children's use on the internet and buy special software to block inappropriate sites. We have posted an extensive resource list on keeping your kids safe online at KSTP.com.
The first two profiled were Pharaoh Blue and Freestyle 2009-49017 on the website. Pharaoh Blue would see yet another deluded mother get involved, attempting to cover up the chat of her precious little creepy dude. In doing so, she would Streisand affect him into getting 10 times the media coverage that he would have gotten otherwise. His name still comes up with media stories covering what was shown in this news story some 21 years after it all happened. Like Raymond Dooley's mom from the WDIV story at the beginning of this video, some moms are real dumb when it comes to their special little baby boys. Pharaoh Blue and his family would throw away a bunch of money hiring a lawyer that tried to bring something called a harassment restraining order against our two volunteers. The two volunteers, with my aid, defended themselves against this very silly attempt, and as a result, the judge made a ruling that we found very helpful regarding the work we did way back in the day to expose and bring to light internet predators. The judge's ruling can be read on screen here. Beef the Troll and Red Baroness did a good job dealing with this nonsense and helped establish a bit of legal precedent regarding chat log removal that I would later use quite often when responding to legal threats emailed to me. This helped make sure that lawyers would have to come after me and not waste the time of our volunteers. I always hated the rare times when idiots would try to make an end run around me to attack our volunteers. This occasion was a prime example. One of the nice things of researching all the original material from the KSTP story is that it brought back a lot of memories of how much I liked the two of them back in those early days. It's very easy to only remember the bad last months of knowing people, and far harder to focus on the better days. It was a real treat to go back and jog the memories of why both of them were two of my favorite volunteers from the earliest days of the website. Freestyle 2009-49017 was confronted at his home after Stinner and her producer followed him around. Again, like Tyler Bacombe before her, any reporter that would go up to the dwellings of these guys back then were all good in our book. Love those cajones. Old Freestyle couldn't have embodied the visage of a creeper more. People were absolutely stunned at how disturbing he came off during this piece. Over the next couple years, various volunteers would find him in chat rooms under the same name and have conversations with him, some just berating him, others pretending to be underage. This is one of those guys where, had he appeared on an episode of To Catch a Predator, would have made the entire country cringe. This story also resulted in a conviction of Yim username B080387. What a great username, right? Real name, Sean Barnett. He would receive a light sentence, sex offender status, and mandated counseling. And, of course, lose his job because soliciting what you think is a minor while working as an air traffic controller is beyond mental. Barnett was our 5th overall conviction in the history of the website, and the Stinner investigation into him was a chief reason why he was charged and convicted. Just great reporting. She was very tenacious and very easy to deal with. Stinner would later report on other Minnesota individuals we would post on the website until she left KSTP in 2006 to start various media businesses herself. A great reporter, and the original piece she did was certainly one of our early favorites. Yeah, that was a very long one. If you made it through even 25% of all that material, good God! Much of the videos going forward will be akin to this one, because I had not quite realized just how hyper-organized and exacting the information was on the forum database I had my friend Phoebus bring back online. Next up on my 5th supplemental video, well, These videos all centered around media that we did between February and April 2004. There was a little something that happened starting on March 8, 2004 that would absolutely change the website forever. Yup, time to travel to Bethpage, New York for the first Dateline NBC sting. Wasn't originally going to cover the first Dateline NBC sting in these supplementals, thinking that everything that could be known about Dateline stings had already been exhumed by dedicated TCAP obsessives online. Oops, was wrong. Until then, I'm Xavier Von Erck. Thanks for watching.
when your words bring ching-a-ching, bling-bling-bling. Time to come clean like my skills at Pilot Wings. Oh, what did they spend it on? How dare they make Dateline pay up? Should've worked free dust till dawn. Poor NBC victim of a hold-up. Draw it for me with a gold crayon. Tell me, need to know what's up. What did you spend it on? Fine, let me tell you.
Right off the top, had some fun, bought a massive kazoo, painted it blue. Invested in the world's largest raisin cinnamon bun. Then made sure to buy an empty Chernobyl zoo. Next up, diamond encrusted my gold-plated Zune. Won an auction for a used cigar from Bill Clinton. Funded a Saturday morning Henry Kissinger cartoon. Paid for a month of having sex with Tilda Swinton. Oh, my beautiful ancient one. Wait, I'm not even nearly done. Who did you think funded the fucking Fire Festival? And paid for the adventures of Harry, England's favorite son, before financing Ed Sheeran to make a Pokemon love song called Celestial.
That was me, that was me. Oh, what did they spend it on? How dare they make Dateline pay up? Should've worked free dusk till dawn. Poor NBC victim of a hold-up. Draw it for me with the gold crayon. Tell me, need to know what's up. What did you spend it on? Yeah, let me guess, you thought after Dateline 3 that a giant corporation deserved us working for free. That means you're just fucking way dumber than me. And I paid $10,000 for a vial of Elvis's pee. 20 years of people regurgitating lies like gawkers. A website so dumb they got wrecked by a moron like Hogan. And you people thought we were the irresponsible fuckers? Instead of the idiots that testified they'd post a fucking sex tape of anyone as long as they were not under the age of 4. Meaning that you think a fucking idiotic website whose editor said on the stand, under oath, mind you, that he'd post a sex tape of a kindergartner should be something you repeat the bullshit of for over 15 more years to try to talk shit about a guy that never got his website sued into oblivion? Really? And yeah, I know that didn't rhyme. Where was I again? Oh yeah, what did we spend the money for? Talented people, phone recordings and server costs. Kept the organization going for a decade more. Instead, should have been Gawker, destroyed by a moronic lawsuit loss. But yeah, money-hungry moron didn't really care, you're right. Didn't self-fund the entire first 4 years of the site without slapping ads all over the chat logs for a penis pill. And kept the lights on after Teacup for a decade longer still. Didn't beg for donations, just wanted people's volunteer time. But yeah, post again that we were money-hungry slime.